We welcome you to Miles Chapel Baptist Church, located at 3911 Dickey Mill Road in Mebane, North Carolina, where the pastor is Pastor Scotty Terrain, preaching a powerful message that will definitely bless your heart and soul. The church vision is impacting, transforming, and empowering people's lives for victorious living. Yes, this church designed for you and mine, where the pastor is Pastor Scotty Terrain, preaching a powerful message every Sunday morning. Yes, the church location is 3911 Dickey Mill Road in Mebane, North Carolina. The telephone number for prayer, information, or directions is 578-1450. Make sure you come out to this awesome church where the pastor is Pastor Scotty Terrain of Miles Chapel Baptist Church, located again at 3911 Dickey Mill Road in Mebane, North Carolina. Now get ready for a heavy word of God from Pastor Scotty Terrain. Get ready for the word.
Every now and then, I ought to stop and see what the Lord has done. Amen. Count our many blessings. Some of the things that we have begun to take for granted, somebody else is excited about. We ought to recognize the fact that we serve a God who's going to bless and keep us. We just have to acknowledge that he is blessing and he is keeping us. Amen. Amen. Luke 10, 10th chapter. We're going to begin reading at the 31st verse. 31st verse today. And it says, Now by chance a certain priest came down the road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and he bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. And he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I'll repay you. So which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to him who fell among thieves? 37 says, And he said, He who showed mercy on him. Then Jesus said unto him, Go and do likewise. We want to talk from a thought today. It's time to impact lives. It's time to impact lives. Okay? What is our vision? Impacting, transforming, and empowering people to live victorious lives, to embody the presence of Jesus Christ. And we talked about last week, embodying is simply being an expression or giving a tangible or visible form to something, to personify, to symbolize, to epitomize, to give tangible form to. So basically when we are talking about embodying the presence of Jesus Christ, we are talking about being his hands and his feet and his voice in the earth, right? We're walking out the commandments. We're walking out those things that he would have us do, those things that Jesus did for folk as he walked on the face of the earth. It is those things that we walk out in the lives of people, right? Now, I need you to understand, it is possible to impact lives. It is possible to impact lives. But it can be done positively or negatively. It can be done positively or negatively. That's why we, as the body of Christ, have to be so careful how we deal with and treat folk. There's some folk right now who are in the street. You can't pull them into a church because they tried church and somebody had a religious agenda. They were hurt and they don't know how to get past the hurt. Now, I'm not condoning them staying out there. That's not what I'm saying. We're just talking about what sent them back. Okay? So we as a church, because, you know, we with that whole thing, and I don't know where this is going, but the Lord's got it. Hallelujah. Praise him anyhow. That thing that we always say, well, I told the truth. But if it wasn't in love, how does it benefit the kingdom? Sometimes we enjoy telling the truth because we know it's going to hurt folk. Because we know it's going to just crush folk. So we tell it freely and then stand on, well, I told the truth. So it is necessary that we love folk where they are. It is necessary that we, when we come upon them, that, get this, y'all, the world does not need our sympathy. They don't need us to feel sorry for them. They need our empathy. Yep. We need to listen and understand and be able to be there to assist them as they walk out of whatever they are in. Okay? Let me just throw a footnote in here. You can't drag nobody out if they don't want to come out. Okay? I don't got pray, sing, fast, all of that. And if they don't want to come out,
they ain't coming. That's right.
Some of us can testify. So we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful and understand that we have the ability to impact, to have a strong effect on someone. But that effect can be positive or negative. So if we're going to impact lives, how do we impact lives? What does this look like? How do we walk this out? I hear you asking that question, and I'm glad you're thinking that because I got it today. But in order to impact lives, we must be able to make the connection between faith and very practical daily activities. A lot of us have faith to believe God as long as we're sitting in the sanctuary. But we face a challenge when it's time to connect the faith that we sing about, the faith that we preach about, that we shout about, and our daily activity. That's why I'm always talking about the milk aisle. Because the milk aisle, everybody got to go through the milk aisle. I don't care if we saved, unsaved, tall, short, wide, thin, whatever. They coming down the milk aisle. Even if you don't drink dairy milk, you're coming to get the almond milk. You're coming down the milk aisle. That's simply something to suggest that we can reach everybody where they are. Okay? And so we have to be able to pull the two together. We have to be able to see our faith walked out in daily, practical activities. But the challenge is, some people are so heavenly minded. They're no earthly good. Anything, quote, unquote, spiritual, they got you. They'll pray till the chandeliers shake, and they may run around the church, whatever. But when it comes time to walk it out, to be practical, y'all know these folk. You're just trying to have a general conversation. Hey, how you doing? Blessed, highly favored, and they, this 2.5 minute rant about how blessed they are. Man, I was just trying to be cordial. How are you? And sometimes we get so spooky, the world backs up.
That's true.
Because everything is, ooh, yeah. I'm good today. Or, bro, you don't even want to know, but it'll be all right. Because, get this, and I know there's some people who teach that we are, and of course we are snared by the words of our mouth, but get this, if you're sick, you're sick. It ain't deep. Because if you're not sick, you don't need to be healed. I'm broke. I ain't broke. Okay. We know your situation. Everybody knows your situation. But get this. if we've never had a lack in any area, how is it we can celebrate God for showing up, filling the lack? Now, I'm not with, I believe we ought to speak positive. I believe, we ought to speak life. I'm with that. But whatever the situation is, because if you went in and you lost your job, I don't care what you confess, it's gone.
You lost your job, yeah. That's true.
You get home and your spouse is gone with all the furniture, I don't care what you confess.
They
gone.
That's right.
But if you'll stand and say, this is the situation, but y'all know my favorite three-letter word, but, that conjunction, but God is still faithful. We saw a spot on the x-ray, but God is still faithful. Yeah, we're going through some challenges right now as a family, but God is still faithful. So then people realize that you are really a person. Because there's some of us in church that people question whether we are really even human.
That's right. That's true. That's definitely true.
Y'all know these folk. We all know these people. And I'm not saying you need to be running around just telling everybody all your business. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we ought to be real with folks so when God moves in our lives, folks see the testimony. You ain't got to tell it. Folks see the testimony. This is man, I rest on this one. But the brother that was blind, when they tried to hem up Jesus, right? They really didn't have to ask him because they should be able to watch him and tell he can see now. Because stuff that he used to trip over, now he walking around. Huh? So when God really shows up in you ain't even got to tell folk. You just keep walking because they'll see the testimony. They'll see a different look about you. They'll see a different attitude about you. They'll know something has taken place. And then they're going to ask, what happened? There go the hook. I got him. But there's there's an example that I'd like for us to consider. This morning in Acts 9. Acts 9. Sister by the name of Dorcas or Tabitha. And Acts 9:36 says, at Joppa there was a certain disciple named Tabitha, which is translated Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and charitable deeds, which she did. She was full of good works and charitable deeds, which she did. What you have to understand is it was in her. It was in her to make outfits for the widows of Joppa. She couldn't do everything. She didn't have the money to bring all of the widows out of poverty. But the thing that she could do, she did. When she saw a piece of material, she could see an outfit for sister so-and-so, and she'd make that. And imagine now you are a widow. You are on the lowest level of the socioeconomic ladder of that time, and she comes to you and blesses you with this new garment. Now you're smiling a little brighter. You're standing a little taller simply because she has done what she's been called to do. Good works and charitable deeds. You may look around and say there are too many needs in this 21st century. But I need you to understand that even if it seems like what you're doing is simply a drop in the bucket, the person that you help feels a different way. See, we're looking at the whole picture, but if we can focus in on one person, be a blessing in one person's life. You may not change their life for the rest of their life. Maybe you only change their life for the rest of today.
That's right.
But some decision that they make today affects how they move throughout their life for the rest of their lives. So it's not about, because, everybody, we want to be impactful. We want to make a difference. Okay, I hear you, Lord. Truth be told, some of us want to bless folks so we can be seen. Okay. We're going to cover the whole gambit. Some of us want to bless so, okay, I'll ask it this way. Anybody ever had somebody bless you, and then they just broadcast it? They just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did that. I asked her. I gave her that. If that is your objective, you have already received your reward. But when you look at it through the lens of the person that you are blessing, when you understand it is when you're in a position where you have a need that you can't meet yourself, and to have somebody show up and bless you and feel that need is an awesome thing. It is an awesome feeling. And so what we can't be immobilized by looking at the whole bucket. Just be concerned with the little bit that you can do. Dorcas probably didn't solve any financial problems of the destitute widows in her community, but she made their lives a whole lot better. She helped them feel better about themselves, to wear their new clothes. It helped to raise their self-esteem. It helped them to know that somebody cared enough to come see about me. Somebody cared enough to pick up the phone and call. Somebody cared enough to send me a text just to check on me. It changes your day. But see now, I need you to go with me now to James 2. James 2 at 14 begins, says, what does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed from the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But some will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. We work because of our faith. Okay? Because of who we believe in, because of who we rest upon, because we call on the name of Jesus, we understand what Jesus would do. I'm not talking about the bracelet, nor the necklace, nor the Bible cover, but when you get into the Word of God, you see the compassion that He has on the sick. You see the compassion that He has for those who are less fortunate. You see all of this, and we as God's people have to walk it out in the earth. So we're not walking it out to prove that we have faith. We're walking it out because our faith forces us to do it. If we believe God, if we believe we're supposed to be God's hands and feet in the earth, we've got to help somebody. How can we stand and not help somebody? How can you watch somebody that you have the ability to help go down and not help them and call yourself a Christian? There may be somebody going down and you really don't have what they need to get them where they need to be. But sometimes you can just go over and say, you know what? I can't get you out the spot you in, but I'm here with you. I'll pray with you. I'll stand with you. Because sometimes all we need is to know somebody else is with us. Because the devil has a sneaking way of making us feel like nobody's going through this but you. Ain't nobody dealing with this but you. And Lord knows you don't need to tell nobody because they're going to think you crazy. Dorcas went beyond just saying, God bless you, or I love you with the love of the Lord. Come on, man. Our lights off. Come on, we hungry. You talking about you love me with the love of the Lord? That's not tangible. That's not tangible. It's hard for me to come in here and listen to you preach or sing about this God that you serve, and my stomach is rumbling because I have not eaten since last night, and my children have not eaten since this morning. Yeah, this ain't the jump, shout, and run thing, but we're going to get it. We have to be able to walk, because what we don't want is to become so accustomed to coming in, saying what our vision is, till it just becomes something to say. But this is something for us to walk out. This is something for us to live. We have the ability to impact lives. We have the ability to change lives. We have the ability to show up, and everything has to do a 180-degree turn. But we have to walk in God's authority. It's not about us. It's not about us getting credit, but it's about lifting up the name of Jesus. Even more importantly, where we are as a nation, where we are as a community right now, we have to come together. We got to come together, y'all. Okay. Here's the deal. There is there's a prayer vigil in Graham today at 7, I think. I would not, how do I say this? Promote it as the church. I would not recommend it as the church. When I begin to, because you need to, when you see prayer, don't just jump because you see prayer. I wanted to know who was behind it, who was sponsoring it, who was a part of it. Because for me to come and stand behind this desk and say this is something we can take part in and have a clear conscience, I need to do all of that. Yeah, when I made phone calls to senior clergy in Alamance County, what I got was, this ain't our meeting. We as a community have to come together. Now this is going to mess some of y'all up, and it's all right. Go home and dwell on it, and you'll get better. We as a community have to come together, and our community includes Muslims, Hindu, Buddhists, atheists, agnostics, Christians, all us in the community. Get this. All of them are dying at the same rate we dying. So if we as a community are going to come together, then the community, because if I just single out all Christians come over here and pray, we still separated. That's right. And who is it that we're really changing if we all over here by ourselves and everybody else is over here? Okay? Second thing, and hear my heart, because I know a few law enforcement officers, and they're great people. So don't get this wrong. But get this now. We've been praying. Because we've been losing our sons and our daughters. We've been praying. But now all of a sudden that law enforcement has taken some licks and we've lost 5. Now the community wants to pray. And it's all right for us to come over there in y'all's community, but y'all won't come over here and talk to us. That's not the Jesus I serve. So we have to, in being his hands and his feet, one, we have to be all-inclusive. Do you understand who the dude was that went and picked the brother up that was on the side of the road? The Samaritan. The half-breed. The joker that wasn't supposed to be nobody. The one that nobody expected to turn out to do anything. Oh, he troubled. Don't mess with him. He ain't no count, no way. That joker was the one. Went and picked the man up, bandaged his wound, poured wine and oil, used wine as a disinfectant, poured oil on to soothe his wounds, put him on his own beast, took him to the hotel, stayed there, and the next day told the innkeeper, look, take care of him, and whatever more than these 2 denarii is spent, I'll give it to you when I come back through. When you investigate, 2 denarii was enough to stay for 24 days. Bring it up to 2016, found you on the side of 85, took you to Holiday Inn and paid for a month. And told the man, if you need any more, I'll pay it when I come back. The guy that nobody expected to do anything. The priest couldn't get his hands dirty. He was on his way to church. Levite had to sing. He was leading praise and worship. I ain't got time. I got to go. How many people, and this ain't, I'm not, get what I say. How many people do we pass on our way that need what we have? You know, it's hurting when you step on your own feet. Dorcas, she follows Jesus' example of when he fed the 5,000. He did good through his ministry of mercy. Mercy is God's attitude toward those who are in distress. I have compassion on these people. I don't want to send them away hungry, he says. He didn't solve the world's hunger problem. He didn't fill everybody's cupboard at the house. But what he did was he gave them a meal where they were. Because sometimes we look past the meal where they were to try to figure out how we can just solve the problem for the rest of their lives. There's some problems that God will allow us to help folk walk through that he never intended for us to solve completely for them. But there are some problems he simply meant for us to be a station to move them to the next station. We have to impact lives by showing up and doing what God has called us to do. And sometimes when we're paralyzed into inaction because we look at the big picture, because we look at, well, what happens next week. We look at, well, how will they eat next month? And sometimes that needs to be a consideration for future help, but right now we need to help them where they are. Luke 6:36, Jesus says, be merciful just as your Father in heaven is merciful. We have to extend mercy. Not judgment, mercy. Yeah, they put their own selves in the situation. Mercy. Yes, that who knows, they may go back into the same situation again. Mercy. Sometimes we make all these calculations and use that to decide whether we're going to help folk or not. That's right. I'm talking about me too, y'all. This is cutting both ways today. But God is calling us to impact lives by our presence, by showing mercy and compassion, by showing empathy with folk. Folk, no, listen, we don't need to beat folk up. They already know when they messed up. They know when they're wrong. They know. Didn't we know when we were out there? Lord, did we know? That's why some of us stayed so long, because we knew what was going on and enjoyed it.
That's true.
Okay. Y'all heard those folk get up and testify. You know, they just thank God for delivering them from a miserable life of sin. Sister Jones, I don't know where they were sinning at. Wasn't nothing miserable on my side of town. It was popping over there. That's what took me so long to get to the Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think we're at a place where we just got to be real, man.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm living in sin, and right now, Pastor, I'm enjoying it. Okay, brother, I hear that, and I understand that, but let me share you what God says and the direction you need to be trying to go in. And then I don't just throw him away because he stays there, but every now and then I'm going to check out what's going on, man. How you doing?
That's right. That's right.
It's called discipleship.
That's right.
You can disciple people into the church, and then after they come into the church, disciple them. Because for some people, we're the only Jesus they're going to see.
You're right.
Depending upon the situation they're living in and how they work and whatever, we're it. So we have to understand how important our connection to Christ is, and how important it is for us to walk this out in the earth. Love people where they are. You don't have to accept everything. You don't condone sin. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get past all that and love the person. When you really love the person, you can see folk who are living in sin, and your heart hurts. You have compassion because you know that there's better for them. You don't stand and become judgmental and just start dogging them out. Oh, man, I knew you weren't going to do nothing no way. I don't know why I keep coming over here messing with you. And that whole speech that some of us heard. But in spite of that, he saved us. Don't count folk out. The Bible teaches that one plants, another waters, but God gives the increase. Sometimes the seeds you sow, you won't even see the harvest of. But you're not called to see the harvest. You're not called to watch the harvest. You're called to plant. You're called to water. Be consistent. Be consistent. Listen, after Dorcas' death, the tearful widows came in the room and showed Peter the clothes that she had made for him. And they would show them to Peter and to help him to understand who she was and how important she was in their lives. And it is that kind of love, it is that kind of impact that we desire to have on folk. Not that just so they can say Miles Chapel did this, but because we want to see people live better. We want to see people do better. We want to see people able to have better lives simply because they understand that the God we serve can do anything but fail. There's a story told of Martin Tenens, later named Saint Martin. He was born in what is now Hungary and was drafted into Constantine's army at the age of 15. And as a tribune at the age of 18, on a bitterly cold day in Gaul, Martin came across a beggar who was naked and shivering. And Martin, who was a follower of Christ, pulled off his heavy military cloak, took his sword and cut it in half, and gave the beggar half to cover himself. He went on about his duties, and later that night, as he was asleep, covered under his half of the cloak, he had a dream, and he saw the Lord Jesus Christ holding the other half of the cloak. And these words came, "When you have done this unto the least of these." Because, see, here it is. None of us have a problem serving if we know it's Jesus. We got no problem serving if we know it's Jesus. That's Jesus. But if it don't look like Jesus, don't sound like Jesus, don't smell like Jesus, you ever notice how we treat celebrities? Celebrities come in a restaurant, they can eat free. Mike Jordan show up, man, they'll give him anything he wants.
That's true.
Dude down on the corner that really needs it,
You gotta look.
they don't even want him hanging around in the front of the restaurant. Even if you gonna buy the food.
Yep, that's true.
Listen, look, we there was a gentleman outside the restaurant one Sunday. We were eating in Burlington. I won't call it. It wasn't occasions. I'll say that. It wasn't occasions. And I went out and just started talking to him, and he said he was hungry. So I said, okay, well, I'll go. Well, no, I said, well, come on, let me buy you. And he said, well, they won't let me come in. I said, okay. I said, okay, well, you stay here, and I'll go order the food and pay for it. I go order the food, pay for it, and come back. I'm coming back, and they come out and say, but you can't stay here. I said, I bought the food for him. Okay, we'll bring it out, but he can't stay here. Really? But that's the world. But we, as God's people, have to have compassion. We got to show the world the real way. We have to show the world what it is they really need to do, how we need to love folk, even when it seems like they're unlovable. Because truth be told, some of us been there too. It was hard for folk to love some of us. We wouldn't let folk love us. But when you constantly bombard folk with unconditional love, they can't stand up under that. When they finally realize it doesn't matter what I do, what I say, how I act, you just going to love me anyway, that don't even make no sense. Oh, it really doesn't. But it breaks people down.
That's right.
All right. About done here. What lives do we impact? Well, we most certainly need to reach out to the least of these. The marginalized in society, the hungry, the thirsty, the homeless, naked, the sick, the imprisoned. But God has called the church to operate in the boardroom too. It's not just the guy down the street who you can look at and tell he needs clothes. Because his real need is not clothes, y'all. That's an avenue to get to his soul. But the brother in the boardroom who's wearing designer suit and gator shoes, he needs the same thing that the guy down on the corner needs. They all need Jesus. And so whether you're on the assembly line or whether you're in the boardroom or whether you're on the ball field, wherever God has equipped you to operate, we are to be his servants. We're to be his hands and feet. So don't shy away from sharing the gospel to folk who look like they got it together, because they still need Jesus. It's as much hell raised in high-priced neighborhoods as it is in the hood. Impact lives. Impact lives. We don't have to do something that's just, that's just going to flip the world. It's the little building blocks, y'all. It's the little things. When you smile, when you show folk concern, when you walk up and just have a genuine conversation. Because, you ever had somebody walk up, hey, how are you? And you start sharing how you are and what's going on with you. And about a minute into the conversation, you look at them and they checked out. They gone. They ain't. Show people genuine concern, not false concern, man, because people out there, they know what's real. They know what's real. So if it's not in your heart to be real, don't go out there. Don't. But if you can smile at somebody, hey, how are you? Pray your day as well. What's your name anyway? And then you move on. But you planted a seed. You've shown them that somebody's concerned about their day. Somebody's concerned about what I'm dealing with. Somebody's concerned with what I'm going through. So I'm really not on this thing alone. So I'm really not walking through life alone like the enemy's telling me. So I'm really not out here abandoned, but there are some people who are actually praying for me. There's some people who are concerned about my welfare. You have to understand, we have to share the gospel with everybody. Everybody. And when I say share the gospel, I know some of us are more verbal than others. If you're not verbal, walk it out. Show compassion. Show love. Walk into situations and share peace. Walk it out. Because there are some folk who can share it verbally, but it's not near their heart.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd much rather have somebody who can't quote it, but can live it, than the joker that can call Genesis to Revelations and ain't living nothing.
That's true.
It's time to walk this out, y'all. And one of our greatest opportunities is going to come when we go out to Crump Village. And I keep harping on it, and I'm pumping it up, and I don't want y'all to think it's going to be some great, grand thing. We just going to be there to love on people. We just going to be outside these walls. And for some people, that's a challenge because you haven't done it, you're not used to it, and so that's why we keep talking about it. That's why we keep talking about it. You don't have to do everything, just do. If your ministry is carrying chairs, come by my truck and get 2 chairs. I'm going to help you to minister. If you want the technical folk, you got your iPad out there, I don't know, we'll find a use for it. Come out there. We have to be able to reach people in every avenue. Every avenue. God has, I keep telling y'all, if we all do our part, everything we need is in the house. It's here. It's here. So you don't have to operate somebody else's gift. They don't have to operate in yours. As they say out in the street, just do you. Galatians 5:13. Says, for you, brethren, have been called to liberty, only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love, get this, serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Because of the complexity of needs in our society today, we must rely on the Holy Spirit to give us insight as to what we can do and how we can do it. We can be the 21st century Martin Tenens, or the Dorcas in our community, all working together to help people not only know Christ, but to become faithful disciples or to make people's lives better for a day, but also to empower them to rise above current lifestyles and circumstances. People are empowered in many ways, and maybe your ministry is not to make clothes or feed the hungry. Maybe it's something different. That's what each of us need to seek the Lord about this week. Lord, what is it you would have me to do? Let's rest on.
Chapel Baptist Church, located at 3911 Dickey Mill Road in Mebane, North Carolina, where the pastor is Pastor Scotty Terrain, preaching a powerful message that will definitely bless your heart and soul. The church vision is impacting, transforming, and empowering people's lives for victorious living. Yes, this church designed for you and mine, where the pastor is Pastor Scotty Terrain, preaching a powerful message every Sunday morning. Yes, the church location is 3911 Dickey Mill Road in Mebane, North Carolina. The telephone number for prayer, information, or directions is 578-1450. Make sure you come out to this awesome church where the pastor is Pastor Scotty Terrain of Miles Chapel Baptist Church, located again at 3911 Dickey Mill Road in Mebane, North Carolina. Now, thank you so much for watching, and may God continue to richly bless you.